In order for me to talk about the topic of this video, I'm gonna show you some relatively recent hoopla that everyone has been talking about. In my previous stream, I talk about the monumentally bad take coming from this guy, who is apparently the creative director of Stadia, or at least when the hoopla is out. He changed his title into something else and his take is so bad that Google had to denounce it. So why am I bringing these tweets in particular? Well, I want to talk about the transformative nature of video games and how video games in general is a very special form of entertainment that is treated very differently compared to many other forms of entertainment, such as films or comic books. I'm not just saying that they should be treated differently, I am saying that they are treated differently. In the realms of online video entertainment, whether it be through YouTube videos or streaming, you are not allowed to post an entire film or TV series or anime and then just react to it to the entire thing while it is playing because the content is not transformative enough. You can post audio commentaries of the film, but not the audio from the film itself, and not with the video of the film. There are exceptions to this rule, such as public domain films. You can do whatever you want with public domain films, but for the most part, you can't just let's watch a popular film, if you get what I mean. This does not apply to video games. You can post an entire let's play from start to finish of whatever video games you're playing right now, and no one will bat an eye. Heck, you can even post unedited gameplay footages without any sorts of commentary. You can even use gameplay footage while having a commentary that is completely unrelated into the topic at hand. Something that I do quite a lot because I'm too lazy to record myself in live action and it's just better to read it off of a script. Point is, you can post gameplay footages of any kind to the internet and no one will bat an eye. So do you see what I mean when video games and films are treated differently? In the context of the fair use discussion, if you want to include materials that are not your own, it should be included for the purpose of education or commentary, and it has to be transformative enough so that it can't be used as a substitute for the original content. In other words, it's so that people don't say, I don't have to pay for X when I can just watch X on YouTube for free. And now let's talk about what the X on the conversation means. There are some films that are on public domain, which is why there's really nothing wrong in watching them on YouTube because it's public domain. For the most part, however, films are owned by corporations, and they don't like it when you upload an entire film to websites that people can access for free, such as YouTube. If you want to watch the film, you have to pay for it, either by watching them through the many streaming services available, or buying the Blu-rays, or you can just pirate them, but that's an entirely different discussion. But here's the problem. Video games are also owned by corporations, and you might think that they're gonna have a lot of issues with streamers or YouTubers making walkthroughs or let's plays out of their games, but you'd be wrong. They actually don't. In fact, they are perfectly fine with channels that straight up upload 3 hours to 10 hours or even more worth of game cutscenes into YouTube, and you can just enjoy the games through there. That being said, not all game companies are fine with it. There was a time period during the release of the Switch where Nintendo will straight up DMCA people's videos if they show any forms of Nintendo content, including gameplay videos. It's to the point where they have to pull the plug on their quote-unquote creators program. The most notorious one is Atlas, when they got themselves into a lot of trouble for controlling how people stream any of their Persona 5 content. I love the one that says, do not use the gameplay footage to slander other people. A very popular Persona meme is the specialist from Persona 4 Dancing and how it's always used to say really horrible stuff. Yes, it's Persona 4 and not Persona 5, but are you seriously going to tell me that Atlas is going to exclusively have this rule for just one game? Regardless, people will still upload walkthroughs, people will still upload let's plays and game commentaries, people will still stream these games, and they're going to keep on doing it. There's a lot of profit and a lot of views being made for streaming these games. There are tons of online personalities that shine thanks to making content on these video games. VTubers get a lot of views for playing video games as well. This is why people say that the tweets made by the Stadia guy was completely out of touch with the rest of the population. The reality of the situation is completely backwards to what this guy is stating. And it's not like it's the first time he made such a bass-awkward statement. Seriously, this is some astronomically bad take. It's not the streamers who have to pay a streaming license. It's the game developers and publishers who are asking the streamers or content creators or influencers to play their games and expose it to a lot more people. I myself got offers from a lot of people to promote things, not just video games. If you've been watching me regularly, you know that I haven't been accepting any of their offers. I do accept donations through PayPal, Patreon, and so many means, links down below, including all the sources in my Medium blog, but I think you are all already aware in how this guy is wrong. This guy got ratioed into oblivion, both through replies and through quote tweets. People are making videos of this guy and talking about how his take is really bad. I do watch their videos because I do want to see their perspective, but as I watch these videos and I read these takes, I notice one very common thing that really irks me. A common rebuttal to the guy's take is the fact that video games in and of itself is a transformative entertainment. You're not always get the same experience playing the game. That is, unless if the video game itself is a walking simulator or an adventure game or one of those narrative-driven David Cage Telltale-esque games where the primary focus is the narrative experience and not the gameplay experience, in which case you might argue that the developers or the publishers have the right to DMCA videos that show the entirety of their games through cutscenes, for example. And this brings me to what I would call the let's play dilemma. Technically speaking, you are allowed to strike people for having clips of your game or even videos of the game in its entirety, but do you really want to? Do you really want to present yourself as some copyright freak that you're going to either flag or DMCA every video containing your game? You can do all of that, but I can tell you for sure that it is not gonna be a good PR for you. Even worse, what if your game is mostly story content? What if your game can be enjoyed by simply watching them on YouTube because there's not much gameplay in it? So you either DMCA the person uploading the entirety of the game's cutscenes, which results in bad PR, or you let them upload their videos, which results in most of the game's content being spoiled and people enjoying the game by not buying and playing the game. Either way, it's not the player's fault, it's not the streamer's fault, it's not the video creator's fault. It's your fault. You made the game to be that way. Do not blame the viewers for enjoying the game as a movie when you yourself made the game to be able to be enjoyed as a movie. When you make a video game, people will treat it as a video game, not as a movie. Most online video creators are going to stream video games, make walkthroughs of the games, make let's plays of the games, etc. They don't do this to films or TV series or anime because of copyright laws. They do this to video games. If you don't want that to happen, don't make it into a video game. You don't get to complain about people enjoying your games through watching them on YouTube when most of the game's content is designed in a way that it can be enjoyed by watching them on YouTube. You don't get to complain about people drinking your food if you designed them to be like water. And this brings me to the free marketing argument. Why does this free marketing argument apply to video games and not films? We release video games in its entirety on YouTube and we call that free marketing. So why can't we do the same things to films or TV series or anime? The difference is video games are primarily an interactive medium. It depends on the player in how they want to progress the game. This is why the most popular game being streamed are multiplayer games, because they don't rely on the same story, same premise, but different journeys and different results. What about single player games, especially the ones that are story driven? That doesn't have a lot of player interactions. You can even watch them as a film and you'd get the same experience. Should those games be treated like a film? Should we send copyright strikes to those who upload 10 hours worth of cutscenes? No, they shouldn't. Why? Because it's a video game. All video games will get the same rules every time. It is not the fault of the player or the video creator if the game is so lacking in gameplay content that it can simply be enjoyed by watching them on YouTube. It is the fault of the developers for not providing enough convincing reasons in why the player should buy the game. I am sick and tired of the notion that these narrative-driven games need to have special treatment simply because the story trumps the gameplay. You are welcome to DMCA everyone who spoils your game by making 40 hours plus worth of cutscene compilations. You are welcome to DMCA everyone who makes let's plays of the game or stream the game to the public. You are welcome to DMCA everyone who make walkthroughs of the game with no commentary. Please, I encourage you to do so, because as you're doing that, there are thousands of other games that don't adhere to your stupid rule. Those games will get videos. Those games will get Let's Plays. Those games will get a relentless amount of views and coverage from many people left and right. Those games will get people talking. Those games will flourish, while your games will suffer. Thankfully, most game developers and publishers don't need to be told about this because they too recognize the influence that these streamers and videos can give. The Google Stadia Guy certainly needs to, and there are certainly some of them who reluctantly has to adapt with the times. And to those game developers, adapt with the times, old man. And speaking of the Stadia Guy, there are a couple of things that I haven't brought up on stream. That guy has a banner of a fan art of Jacksepticeye, a freaking Let's Player. Are you aware that you wouldn't be able to be a fan of him if he has to pay for streaming license for the games that he play? Also, as mentioned by Jacksepticeye, the banner that he has on his Twitter is a fan art and he has no permission to use it. I mean, it's a Twitter bio banner, you don't really have to. I mean, my banner is clearly from Keep Your Hands Off of a Zokin, but you're not clearly following your values of profiting content creators, especially when you crop the watermark of that fan art. But hey, that's just hypocrites for you.